Hey, it's Ernest from Expedited. In this video, we're going to answer the question, can you get a passport in less than 24 hours? Misplacing your passport is an extremely stressful situation. It's even worse if you happen to lose it before a trip. And today, I'm going to share my experience of doing just that. But before we get started, if you're new here, I want to welcome you to our channel. Expedited is a travel channel that is focused on sharing ways to make travel easier, affordable, and more enjoyable. Traveling can be stressful and expensive, so we're looking for ways to help you maximize your experience through travel tips, points and miles, and innovative gear. If that sounds interesting to you, please consider subscribing. We recently took a trip to northern Italy, and about 2 days before the trip, I started to pack my stuff. One thing that I couldn't seem to locate was my passport, but I was sure that it was somewhere in our apartment since I recently used it for some footage in a video. It was a Sunday night and our trip was on Tuesday evening, so you can imagine my horror when I realized that I sent my passport to our last giveaway winner, Gonzalo, the day before. I had taken some stock footage of my passport in the backpack and completely forgot to empty the pocket before sending over the backpack. I immediately searched online for different options for an expedited passport. The official State Department website showed some options for an expedited passport, but none that would meet the time frame that I needed. I was basically flying in less than 48 hours. A few of the private passport agencies online advertised that they could get a passport within 48 hours, but there was no guarantee. I even found one in LA that offered a 24-hour turnaround time, but at a cost of $500. Feeling pretty desperate but determined, I decided that I probably needed to try the 24-hour expedited service. But before submitting an application, I thought I would look up reviews of the agency online. Interestingly enough, I found a bunch of Yelp reviews that mentioned that it was a waste of money since you could get an expedited passport in less than a day from the local passport agency for less than half the cost. Reviewers mentioned that it cost around $200 and required you to show up early to the passport agency at the Federal Building in Los Angeles. I thought I'd give it a shot. Long story short, I got to the State Department passport agency at 5:45 a.m. and got a walk-in appointment. The agency doesn't open until 7 a.m., but I was able to still get seen, and it seemed like everyone who showed up early was able to get in as well. After submitting everything and paying $205, which was around 10 a.m., I was told to come back at 3 p.m. for my new passport. So I drove back to the Federal Building at 3 p.m. and got my passport. I was exhausted, but I was so happy that I didn't have to change or cancel any of our travel plans. I have to say that I know a lot of government services often get a bad rap for being inefficient, disorganized, and unfriendly. However, I found that everyone who worked at the passport agency to be very professional, friendly, and helpful. Even the security guard who showed up early in the morning helped us navigate through the process in an orderly manner. Of course, this was my experience at the LA Federal Building, but I imagine it's probably similar in other passport agency offices across the US. So getting back to the original question, can you get a passport in less than 24 hours? The answer is yes, especially if you live in a large city and can get to an official government passport agency office. There are about 27 of them in the country, so it's likely that there's one near you. I'll include a link in the video description with the full list. Keep in mind that this is different than your local post office, which can also process a passport application, but not in an expedited manner. Through this process, I definitely learned some things, so I thought I'd share some tips if you happen to find yourself in a similar situation. Number 1, do your research. As I mentioned earlier, the official State Department website does not show an option for an expedited passport within 24 hours. Had I not seen people mention it on Yelp, I probably would have paid some private agency $500 to do it. Also, if you do decide to go the route of a private agency, make sure you check the reviews to make sure that the service is legit. Number 2, time frame for passports. I didn't realize that the passport agency prioritized passports based on departure date. While I wouldn't suggest waiting for the last possible minute to request a new passport, like I did notice that a few people were turned away since their departure date was more than 72 hours away. They were told that it would take a while to get a new passport under the regular service, but could be expedited for a fee only if the departure date was less than 72 hours. It doesn't really make sense, but just know that getting a new passport if your departure date falls between 3 days to a week can be a challenge. Number 3, determine your situation. Since I knew where my passport was, but couldn't get to it, I assumed that it wasn't officially lost. I thought it might be easier for the State Department to just create a duplicate passport. But I learned that if your passport is inaccessible, then it's officially misplaced and you need to request a new one. Number 4, fill out documents in advance. As with the previous tip, make sure you understand what forms you need based on your situation. I filled out the basic form, but I didn't fill out the official loss statement for my old passport since I didn't think it was actually lost. This actually added more time to the process when I was at the passport agency since I had to fill out the form and go through the line again. Number 5, have passport photos available. You'll need to provide 2 passport photos with your application. I had a bunch of photos made a few years ago, and I generally advise carrying a few when traveling in case you need them for a lost or stolen passport or even a visa. Having them available meant that I didn't have to scramble to find a place to get them at the last minute. Number 6, bring multiple forms of IDs. I suggest bringing any official IDs that you might have. Surprisingly, I even had an old expired passport that I brought with me, and they said that it was the best form of ID to bring. I also brought the passport card for my lost passport, driver's license, military ID, and global entry card. Number 7, be ready for various payment methods. The passport agency accepted credit cards, but I brought cash, my debit card, and my checkbook just to be safe. You don't want to delay your application in the event that their credit card terminal is down. Number 8, request a larger passport. There's no extra fee or wait to get a larger passport. I highly suggest getting the larger passport so you have more space for stamps and visas. Some visas require an empty page, and I've heard stories of some passport control officials requiring completely blank pages for stamps. It's better to have the extra pages for your travels, especially since it doesn't cost anything extra. Number 9, determine whether you want or need a passport card. I'm a bit torn about this one. I got one with my last passport, and it functions as a federal ID. I know some people use it as their carry passport when walking around in a foreign country while keeping their real passport in the safe. I think that's a good idea, but I still carry a photocopy of my passport since I worry that the foreign officials might not recognize the passport card. Also, in case you're wondering, you can only use a passport card in lieu of your regular passport in certain countries and situations. We'll do a separate video on it in the future. Number 10, get to the passport agency early. I thought I was going to be the first person in line when I got to the passport office at 5:45 a.m. on a Monday morning, though I was like the 20th person in line. If you can't make an appointment online, I suggest getting there at least 1 or 1.5 hours early just to be safe. Have you ever misplaced your passport before your trip? Let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, please give us a thumbs up and consider sharing the video with others who might benefit or enjoy our content. Until next time, travel safe and travel smart.